Hello, Bells Up. Welcome to the studio. In today's squat, push, and swing set, we're doing a lot of power work today in class, and this is another one that will blend some of your most basic kettlebell movements kind of in a creative way. So you'll be doing interval training, but with an appropriate amount of reps throughout the rounds, you're going to get a really good strength session. So be prepared for single rack squats. We have some single arm swings, which some of you might be able to use the same bell. Some of you might go a little heavier for the swings, lighter for the squats. It just depends on the person. You also will be doing some strict pressing. And I have to say, this grouping of classes, so the weeks of this particular set of this program, will include a lot of overhead pressing. We're really ramping up the pressing. So today should feel your nice moderate set of pressing. We're going to be going up to 6 reps on one side, but broken up in a ladder format. You also have some single racked reverse lunges today. If you're more advanced here, you can decide to take double racked for these. I do have to give you guys a small caveat. I have talked about this in this program already, but squat and knee dominant movements, I'm having a little bit of an issue with one of my hips. So I'm not going to be demoing as much in this class, or at least during the intervals for those particular movements. And I might not use weight for some of them. So just be aware of that. I will be here to coach you through every second of these intervals, but I might not be showing you as much with the movements for those particular things, and really just in all of the squat and lunge heavy sets, which today's class is pretty much all that. We're going to go through a warm up to get started, and this one is going to be kind of fun. We're breaking up some isometric holds with the movements that you're actually doing in the warm up. You will need a light kettlebell, something that you can goblet squat. Some of you might go a little heavier for this, but this could be your overhead press weight. Hit pause right now if you need to do a quick refresh on the movements that are coming up and the recommended weights for those movements. I tried my best to write in there the weights that I think you should pick. So instead of just saying single arm swings, it'll say pick a bell. You can single arm swing for at least 10 reps. So you have everything you need. I'll go ahead and get started. We're going to go through the warm up one time. It's a 40-second interval with a 20-second transition phase for it. The first thing we're going to try is a lying leg lift. So we're actually going to lay on our chest here, and we're going to stretch the front parts of our hips, work our core a bit, and get our glutes firing in this one. So think of like a Superman raise, but just for your legs. We're going to lift opposite legs for 20 seconds, and then we're going to hold our first leg up. Actually, I lied. We're going to lift one leg for 20 seconds and then hold that leg up for the remaining 20 seconds, and then we'll do your second side. So it's what's coming at you. So go ahead, come down to the floor. This one, I want you guys to think of your head being fully down on the ground. I'm not going to keep mine there the whole time because I want to be able to talk into the mic, but it's going to look like this. And you're going to just lift up your heel towards the ceiling. Flex your foot so your toes are pointed towards the ground, and you really feel your legs spin to the floor. Push your hips into the ground. We're going to get started in this one in 3, 2, and 1. So remember, your head should be down. So I'm thinking here of lifting my heel and stretching my foot back. So I'm thinking of almost pushing my foot back into a wall. It's really important here that you think of driving your hips down, because if you don't, you're going to feel more of an arch in your back, and you might feel this one more in your low back than anything. We're going to keep going here for 3, 2, and 1. So on your next leg lift, I want you just to keep your leg up, keep it elevated, push your heel away from you, flex your toes a little harder. See if you can lift the leg a little more by pushing your hips into the floor. If you have kind of bony hips, which we all have bony hips, you might feel a little uncomfortable here, but you can always pad your hip for the second round if you need to. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. This is stretching your TFL, the front part of your hips. So if you feel a really intense stretch there, you probably have some tightness there. Let's go ahead and get ready into the next position. So you can wiggle your hips out a little bit. Let's take your opposite side here. Again, you should feel this in the front part of your thigh. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So opposite leg can relax. Some of you might like to keep your toes curled under here. And again, we're thinking of driving our hips down into the floor in order to lift up the leg. This is a very small movement. We're pushing back and really making this leg feel active here. See if you can keep your opposite hip, the one that we just lifted, or the leg of the one we just lifted, pushing down into the floor too. So both hip points should be pushing into the floor. You're going to hold in 3, 2, and 1. So push that heel far away from you, toes curl back. You're really getting a nice tight feeling in the leg and not an arch in the back. Remember, this is all driven by your hips pushing down. Some of you, this might feel like a squeeze of the glutes. You're here for 3, 2 and 1. Shake your hips out a little bit. 20-second transition to come into side plank clamshells. We're going to do these on our knees. You're going to take 20 seconds in the clamshell and then a 20-second hold in just the side plank. I'm going to give you some cues as we go through this one. Again, warming our hips up a lot for this class. Let's come into our side plank here in 3, 2 and 1. So we're going to lift up, make sure your hip points are pointed forward, shoulders are stacked. Lift up that knee and we're going to turn the knee down. Lift the knee up to the ceiling. So notice I'm actually getting that internal rotation, that external rotation, keeping the integrity of my side plank. So what do I mean there? I'm not dropping down here. I'm not letting my shoulder come to the floor. If you need a little less here, bring your hand down to the floor just like this so you can focus on the clamshells. Let's hold 3, 2 and 1. So you can either bring your knee down or you can leave it up. But if you're leaning your hips back, I want you to try to keep the knee down and possibly use this hand for support. We're going to lift by pushing down. We're going to flex and squeeze our glutes, pull our hips forward, and then lift the collarbone for 3, 2 and 1. When I say lift your collarbone, I'm really meaning kind of a proud chest. So we don't want to be collapsing in our shoulders. We want to think of the collarbones opening up to the ceiling. Let's go ahead and hit your opposite side here. So go ahead, stack your hips first, stack your shoulders first, even push down and lift through your oblique first, and then the hips come up. We're going to bring that leg up, go knee down, knee to the ceiling. Again, you can be here. If you feel yourself leaning back or moving your hips too much here, we're thinking of moving from the hip, but we're not letting ourselves kind of relax and look up to the ceiling here. So you're really trying to move your leg from this point. It's not about the leg just kind of twitching around. Let's go ahead and hold in 3, 2 and 1. So you can either hold up here, you can be here, you can be here, but all of us are going to thrust a little more with our hips, lift our chest up wherever you're at. If it feels comfortable for you to lift this opposite arm to keep your shoulder stacked, go ahead and go there. Push the floor down a little bit more. 3, 2 and 1. We should definitely be feeling our hips quite a bit now. Okay, goblet squats are coming up next. So we're going to take 20 seconds in the goblet squat, which isn't too long. So you're going to get just a few reps here. And then when we finish those 20 seconds, you're going to come down into what we call hold in the hole, the bottom of the squat. You're going to hold that position with tension. So you're not going to lose tension and just come into a stretch. I want you to think keeping tension for 20 seconds. Ideally, you're holding onto your weight. If you need to set it down, you can, but it might be helpful for you to actually hold it in front of you a little bit to keep your chest up. Let's go ahead and pick our weight up in 3, 2 and 1. If you're using wedges like me, step back onto them with the soles of your feet on the floor. You'll go ahead and sit down into your squat, keeping the integrity of the movement again. So we want to think of chest up. We want to think of knees coming forward, pushing through our feet, making sure we're super grounded in our feet as we move through the squat position. Good, guys. Go ahead and go through this one for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we're going to come down to the bottom and hold here where we have tension. You're going to think of pushing yourself back slightly into your heels and then come a little forward into the balls of your feet. If you need to, the bell can come down. This might pull you forward a little bit. That's okay if that has to happen. Some of you might benefit from pulling your knees out just a little or keeping them going straight over your toes. You're here for 3, 2, go ahead, stand up, shake everything out. Okay, reverse lunges for 20 seconds. These are going to be done with body weight. You, of course, have the option to go with your reverse lunge with your goblet hold kettlebell at your chest if you want a little more. We're going to alternate our sides and then we're going to do calf raises in place, trying to keep our balance. You can hold onto a wall for support if you need it. Let's hit your lunges in 3, 2 and 1. So this is just to get the pattern of stepping back. This should not feel hard. So your warm up is here. I know I say this probably every class, but to take inventory in your body. How are you feeling today? Start getting mentally in the space that you are moving your body, you're training your body. We are practicing a lot of movements here and we want to see how we feel. So this should not be gassing you. You should be getting your heart rate up, but you also are practicing the patterns you're doing later. You're here for 3, 2 and 1 for the calf raises. Feet under hips, you're going to lift onto the soles of your feet and then lower your heels. So I want you to think about where you're placing the weight right now. Are your feet opening up to the side? Are you feeling like your knees are coming in? Can you keep equal pressure in the entire sole of your foot? That's what we're going for in our squats today and in our lunges. So think of lifting, lowering, pushing down, lowering. We're not rolling to the outsides of our feet, losing our ankles. So just nice up and down. We're not getting the negative aspect of a calf raise here. We're just getting the full extension of this. So it's okay. I want you just to try to stand up as tall as you can. You're here for 3, 2 and 1. The first part of our warm-up is over. You might have heard we're doing presses later, and we didn't really have a lot of upper body in that warm-up. So we're gonna warm up your press next. And I want this to be with either the bell that you're gonna use for your actual presses today, or one bell down. I would say go one bell down if you're planning on pushing your weight a bit for the presses today. Remember, you have 4 rounds. Well, you probably don't know that yet. You do have 4 rounds of a total of 6 reps per side. So 24 reps of presses. So some of you might actually take those a little bit heavy today. So keep this on the lighter side if that's the case. We're going to do one dead stop clean, and then we're going to press 5 times on our left. Set the bell down, do the same thing, one dead stop clean, press 5 times on our right. The next set, same thing, we'll always pick up from the dead stop so our chest is up. We'll hit 4 each side, and then we'll hit 3 each side. So just to get the movement going. Okay, so choose your weight. I'm gonna give you just about 10 seconds to pick the bell that you want to use. This can be on the lighter side again. This can be a bit on the heavier side. Let's go ahead and come into position for your dead stop clean. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So bell comes into position here. We're going to press for 5. We're going to think of a full extension of the top, leaning into the hip on the side that we're lifting from, breathing out as we're pushing up, and making sure our bodies feel like they're in a plank position as we press. You want to keep tension in the opposite side. Go ahead and finish up your presses. Let's go ahead and bring the weight into the opposite side. So we're going to try to incorporate all those things into our second set of 5. Here we go. 3, 2, and bell comes up, squeeze your glutes and push. So more than just squeezing the glutes, you have to actually think about driving yourself down. And I know this is something that you guys have heard before in this program, but really think of your feet driving into the floor. Think of if you were wedging yourself into the ground like you were a tent stake and someone was hammering you down. I want you to imagine that much tension traveling below. In this set of 4, I don't even want you to think of the bell going up, because that's what's going to happen. You actually don't need to see it happening, and you don't need to think about it too much. I want you to actually think about driving down into your feet, feeling the sole of your feet, and getting that full extension at the top. Let's go ahead and go for this one again. 3, 2, and 1. So this time we only have 4 reps. We're going to practice on this set, cleaning the bell and moving it right up. So in this set, we're doing a dead stop clean. Later in class today, we are doing a 3-2-1 rep ladder, which some of you that do Bells Up Studio classes have seen in the past. We're going to pass the bell between sets. So we're going to be in a swing clean position. This dead clean position is just to help us generate power without the momentum you're going to get later. Let's go ahead, hit your second side. 3, 2, and 1. Bell comes up for 4. So notice, I'm fully extending at the top. I gave a Bells Up TV, or Bells Up, sorry, old school Bells Up Studio member some advice this week on social media about her press. And part of it was finding the natural movement of the palm and the lockout. So it's a little more inside here, moves to face outside here. So you're not like this the entire time. We don't want our palms facing forward the entire time. Your arm should form the shape of the letter J if it was inverted as it goes up. Let's get 3 presses. 3, 2, and 1. When you do this one with your swing style, the goal will be not to move your feet. So go ahead, finish up your other side. When that's happening, we're gonna think of the feet being as close together as possible to clean the bell. That means we might have to experiment a little bit. So when we pass through a hand-to-hand swing, we can catch it on the other side. Okay, warm-up is officially done. We should feel pretty good in our upper body. We should feel pretty good in our hips. We're going to start at our intervals. You have a 45 on, 45 off set today through 5 different things. We have reverse nordics for 5 combined with push-ups to finish. I'm going to change up the tempo of the push-ups through the entirety of the program. So you're just going to have to listen for those things. Reverse nordics, if those don't work for you, you can go back to your goblet squat for 5 reps and then go into your push-ups. In the reverse nordic, we are here with our feet curled under. We are going to reach ourselves back, keeping our shoulders and our hips in one line. without sort of setting our hips and arching our back. So think about that first lying leg lift that you did for 5 reps here, either body weight like I'm doing here or with a light weight in front of you. The light weight might actually help some of you. Then we're gonna hit 3 single rack squats followed by 3 single arm swings on repeat for the entire 45 seconds. So most of you will probably get 2 rounds of that. So 6 reps per set. Again, this is not the heaviest squat of your life, but it should have some weight to it. Third interval is that exact same thing, your opposite side. Then we're gonna hit that strict press ladder. 3 reps on the left, 3 reps on the right, 2 reps on the left, 2 reps on the right, 1 and 1, you are done. That might be the hardest thing that you have in this session today if you go pretty heavy for your set. Your final thing, single racked reverse lunges, double racked for more advanced students. You're going to take only one side. So we're gonna alternate sides each interval. So you're gonna get a lot of lunges on that side, a little bit more of a hypertrophy side here. So this one will rack the bell and step back with the opposite leg of the bell. So those lunges will stay isolated. If you get up to 15 reps, I would say you can stop or go a little bit heavier with your bell to slow you down a little bit for the consecutive rounds. Go ahead and get your weights out and we will get started very shortly. Ready for these intervals, 30 seconds until we start. Remember, you have reverse nordics or goblet squats for 5, followed by push-ups. Normal push-ups for the first set. As always, hands on an apparatus like a bench or a wall work really great. You can go on your knees if you can hold your pelvic tuck in your hollow position really well, or you're gonna go full push-ups on the hands and on the toes. You'll do as many as you can until failure or until the interval finishes. Remember, 45 on, we'll take 45 off. Here we go, 3, 2, and 1. So reverse nordics, I like to keep my feet pretty flat in the back as I come back here. If you only can move back a couple inches without losing your core, that's all you're gonna do. You're gonna feel this in the front parts of your legs. So your quads are really feeling this here. You need a lot of core strength to be able to lift yourself up without collapsing. So if you are not ready for this variation yet, I want you to take the goblet squat today. Maybe you try a round of it and then you take the goblet squat. Something else you can do is if you have TRX straps or some sort of straps and you wanna work on reverse nordics, you can actually hold on to something, or like I said, a light weight. When you do your push-ups, I want your thumbs to be in at your rib cage and to make sure you start yourself out for success with these. Elbows moving out at 45 degrees, keeping your glutes, keeping your core. It's all the same thing. We don't want to lose this part of our body here. You've got to think of squeezing your belly button tight. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. So a 45-second break. Your next interval, 3 single rack squats, followed by 3 single arm swings on repeat. I'm going to take a set of squats and a set of swings per side here. You guys are doing, obviously, I'm just gonna take one. You guys are gonna be doing it the whole time. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, am going to not do as many reps for the squat parts, but I'll definitely talk you through your sets. Wedges are okay here. You're just gonna have to step off of them for your swing. So have your setup ready to go. 45 seconds in 3, 2, and 1. So as we move through our class today, the 2 intervals that you're in right now, so the squat and swing sets, are going to be probably the hardest segment coming into those presses. So remember, when you're coming into the presses, you want to think, conserve your energy, lift heavy. So you're really going to be moving through your rest breaks with these squats. You're going to keep going on repeat through them, but you might be a little out of breath. The single rack lunges, you're going to get a little more recovery time. So these 45-second rest breaks are going to become very important. And even if right now you don't feel like you're that out of breath, you probably will be as we get into the second round. So enjoy the rest when you get it. Try to stay active and moving. You're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Next set, I'm going to talk you through single arm swings a little bit more. So in our squats, remember, same thing as in our warm up. We're standing up tall. We're thinking of keeping our bell with wrist over elbow. You can elevate your elbow a little bit here versus coming out to the side here. So we never want to be like this with our kettlebell. We want to be tucked in tight here. You have 15 seconds until we take our next interval. For your single arm swings, remember anti-rotation. We're not rotating at our shoulder. This should be heavy for those of you that can do it, because remember, it's only 3. So if you can go between a lighter bell for your squats, a heavier bell for your swings, or use the same one, you're golden. You're here 3, 2, and 1. So I'm going to set myself up at the bottom, keeping my shoulder in line with my opposite shoulder. I do this by bringing my fist across and keeping it in line there. I'm thinking about keeping my knees moving in the pattern that my toes are placed. So if your toes are slightly turned out, your knees are going to follow that direction in your swings and in your squats. You have 15 seconds left here. So remember, you're moving between these two things. Some of you might even, depending on the weight that you have, be able to drop right into your swing from your squat. I'm going to give you that example when we go through this, our second round. You're here for 3, 2, and 1, 45-second rest break before we go into our presses. So again, we want to use these rest breaks to recover as much as possible so we can lift at our heaviest weight for an RPE 8 overall feel with the rep guidance we have. You should not be resting, ideally, in those squat and single arm swing sections. This is just about 30 seconds, so this is going to give you an idea of how long these rest breaks are, because they do start to go by pretty fast when you start to feel like you're taxing yourself a lot more. So in these next few rounds, they're definitely going to creep up, like I said. 3, 2, 1 for your presses. Remember, legs need to be in a position for you to swing clean between your sets. Let's go in 3, 2, and 1. So I'm going to clean the bell. My legs are probably a little wider than they were before. I'm still shifting into the hip on the side that I'm pressing. When I finish those 3, I'll drop it down my body, bring it across, bring it towards the opposite side, and press. Very good. Keep up this motion because it's going to take probably that entire 45-second interval. Some of you might even bleed into the rest a little bit. Right about here, we have close to 15 seconds until we're finished. I'm going to finish right on that 45-second mark, and my weight has been heavy enough that I haven't had to really, we're going to rest in 3, 2, and 1. Take too much pause between those sets. So you'll see now how it feels with this rest break, with those presses coming after the squats. This is what you have to expect. If you need more time, pause button. You can always recover like that. You can, if you do that, take an extra 60 seconds. If you feel like you want to keep the class going, you can skip your racked reverse lunges and take this as a rest break. That would be your modification here. Okay, go ahead, roll the shoulders back. We have just under 10 seconds. Remember the leg that you're doing for this set, because we are alternating every round. The bell should be racked on a different side with the different leg moving second time. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So bell will come up. We're going to think about shoulders over hips, stepping back, gently touching the knee, pushing through the entire front foot to come up. Again, I should be maintaining a strong rack position here. So I'm not getting tired bringing it out to the side. I'm keeping my elbow slightly forward or tucked into my body. When I step back in the lunge, I'm thinking of driving myself forward with the front foot. Very important again here that you don't lose your core. We're not flaring out and putting pressure in our low back. Rib cage stacked over pelvis, the entirety of this motion. You have 5 seconds here. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Remember, advanced students, you guys have the option to go for double racked bells each time. That is going to really tax your cardiovascular capacity here. It's going to make the endurance a little bit harder. You might not be able to go for the entire interval. That's okay, because I do want you to feel recovered before we go into our next sets. You have 3 more rounds just like this. We're starting reverse nordics in just about 10 seconds. So we're going kind of quick through. Think about if this one works better for you or if those goblet squats work better. Remember, it's 5 reps followed by push-ups to finish. This time in our push-ups, we're going to take 3-second down tempo, push with power for a normal tempo on the up. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So we'll lean it back for those Nordics. So these should not take you forever. I'm not just like, do. I want to try to really pull myself back, pull myself up, using the front parts of my legs, and maybe finishing this one with about 20 seconds to spare for push-ups, or even just a little bit less. So this is your mark for 15 seconds for push-ups. You're in your position here. We'll take 3, 2, 1, push fully. 3, 2, 1, push. In this tempo, can you get tighter as your body moves down? Pull yourself into the floor just like you are in your presses. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. 45-second break here before we go into our second round of the rack squats and swings. I'm going to show you guys on this set how to drop into your swing. If you're really well versed with kettlebells, you're a little more seasoned with kettlebell training, you feel really confident cleaning and swinging and getting that strong and kind of effortless feel to your drop in your clean, this variation could be for you. If you're going really heavy with your swing, I would say this one's going to add up pretty fast. So maybe just be conservative with setting it down if you need to. Okay, here we go. We're going to set this up in 3, 2, and 1. Interval start. So you're going to clean your bell, move your feet into squat position if you need to. You're going to hit those 3 squats. Then feet will be in swing position or you'll move it out. You'll drop it down, hit your 3 swings. On that 3rd one, you can switch, rack again, hit your 3 squats. Finding the rhythm between those. Very good, guys. You have about 20 seconds left in this interval. So if I'm switching between, I might get through that second side. I might not. You can always bleed into the rest just a little bit here if you need to go between. I don't know why I told you guys to switch sides. If you did that, you're gonna have to do that the next side. So keep it on the same side. I just got ahead of myself. We're gonna be here for 3, 2, and 1. So if you switch side, you're like, Lacey, we have a whole other interval of these squats, then do what you did last time. We'll get back on track for the last 2 intervals here. Okay, so we're resting for these 45 seconds. Go ahead, shake your legs out here and start to think about your weight selection. Do you wanna go up for the next rounds? Did your strict press weight feel like it was slowing you down? I want you to find that nice middle ground between it not slowing you down, but also having it challenge you. 15 seconds, we're gonna go into your second side of your squat to your single arm swing, or you'll alternate sides again like I just misdirected you guys to do. Okay, here we go. 5 seconds, let's hit your second side. We'll go 3, 2, and 1. So here I would clean again and take the squats again. That's what it would look like if you actually did it properly within the cueing. This is about 20 seconds here. So keep moving through this. Maybe some of you getting up to 3 sets. If you can get 3 sets here, I would say that's pretty good. That's probably your cap off for your weight being a little too light. If you're finishing 3 pretty easily, you're not out of breath, you're not feeling like you're doing much, your weight's probably a little bit too light for you for this set. I would bump it up this time or the second time you do this session. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. Round 2 of those presses. Remember, you have a 45-second break here. In the presses, again, you can bleed a little bit into the rest break. Let's just chill to the soothing sounds of the helicopter going directly above me right now, and we'll get into this set in 30 seconds. I like to just stay moving around here. Grab a sip of water, chalk up your hands if you need to. Start envisioning how your press is going to go. So now you have the feel of each side and the switches that are happening within this. I'm doing these switches so you're not gassing yourself out on just 6 presses. So maybe you can go a little heavier than you would if I asked you to press it 6 times in a row on that side. Let's go ahead and hit your set in 3, 2, and 1. Gaze can be forward or up at your bell. I think it actually makes it a little easier to wedge, to stare up at the weight. Personal preference for everybody. Think about the weight going straight up. So I noticed on my left side that I felt like my arm was traveling out to the side just a little bit. We want to try to avoid that. Think of knuckles straight up to the ceiling and your body feeling like a column, the arm not shooting out in one direction. Lean into your hip here. We have just a few seconds left, about 5 to be exact, in this interval to finish out your last couple presses. Remember, I said this should be probably the hardest part of your entire set. We'll rest in 3, 2, and 1. Very good. Shake this one out. Lunges, second time through. Remember, you can take your rest break if you need to at any time, but try to keep it in a minute. That's if you pause. I want you to try not to rest. I want you to try to stay with the flow of the class. But if you have to pause, you're going to hit the button, maybe set a timer on your phone, and try not to let that go more than 60 seconds. As you guys know, you're probably here for the class interaction and having someone talk you through this. You don't want to just chill and forget about it and have to come back. That's how you lose focus. So we'll try to stay focused if you're taking that extra rest. Let's go ahead and hit your second side. 3, 2, and 1. I also forgot to mention, you can pick up your bell any way that works for you here. So we're thinking about racking the weight through the dead clean or the swing style clean. These should have some rhythm to them. If it's a little too much weighted, you're feeling like I've got a lot in the rack position today, I'm not quite ready for that. You're going to take it down a notch with body weight. Always an option. You can also always hold a bell, goblet style, just like we did in the warm-up. Throughout these sessions, I try to give you guys modifications and upgrades so you can customize this plan to where you're at. Some of you are going to be more in that beginner intermediate. Some of you are going to be true intermediates. Some are going to be more advanced and want a little more. So this is where you've got to push yourself if that's you. You've got 3, 2, and 1 45-second rest break. We're going to get started with round 3. So for this 45-second rest break, a little story time. I made a post last December, I think, about the program 75 Hard. And if you're familiar with that, it's about really kind of revamping getting back into a routine with fitness by doing this extreme 3-month challenge that incorporates a lot of things. One thing I do love about 75 Hard, because there's a lot I don't love, it actually inspired the name of 365 Moderate, the program that some of you might have done before this one, is the training outside portion. You have to do at least 1 training session outside, I think, per day or something like that. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Let's go ahead and start your reverse nordics. We'll be here in 3, 2, and 1. And I was just noticing as like the sun's creeping into the studio, you guys can sometimes tell the time of day that I'm probably filming the classes based on where the sun's coming from, that sometimes it just feels really good to get outside for your sessions. And if you live somewhere where you have pretty nice and temperate climate year round, it's obviously a lot easier to do that. But if you're somewhere that maybe it's turning summer or you don't ever get outside for any of your sessions, our tempo this time, we're going to take regular. I forgot to tell you guys that. We're back to our regular. I want you to try to bang out the same amount of push-ups that maybe you got in that first round. You have 20 seconds here before we take our rest break. It can feel really rejuvenating to just get yourself outside, breathe some air as you're training. And it's one of the reasons that I really fell in love with learning kettlebells and at least having that in my training arsenal, because you can use them anywhere, whether that be a beach. I take them on vacation sometimes when I go out to a cabin with my family. This ranch we love to go to every summer. You're here for 3, 2, and 1 45-second rest. And there's just something about swinging some bells outside that feels really good. So if you're able to do that, take your phone out, put it up on a little tripod. You can put me in your headphones and you can do classes out in the fresh air. One of my clients, Kim, she does, shout out to you, Kim, if you're ever watching this video, she does one-on-one programming with me. She lives out at the Jersey Shore and she's always out on the beach tagging me in her kettlebell workouts in the summer. And it just looks so peaceful and lovely to be surrounded by that. 15 seconds here. And we're going into our 3rd round of our single rack squat and single arm swing. This is the round that I am not going to squat, but I will swing with you guys for your 3 reps. So let's go ahead and find our positions here. 3, 2, and 1. Remember, your squats are coming up first. So it's 3 strong squats. As you go down, think of, again, pulling yourself into the floor, explode up with power. When you get to the swings, we're going to think of the same thing, pushing our feet down to initiate that hip thrust, pulling our quads up in space as we do that. Keep breathing through this one. I know I say that a lot, but I'm trying to really emphasize that the breath in these ones are important. You can't hold your breath through the sets as they get harder. 15 seconds here. Squat breath should be inhale through the nose as you are descending. Exhale through the mouth powerfully as you're ascending. In your swings, remember, we're always taking our inhale through the nose at the beginning of the backswing. Exhale at hip extension to help lift the weight. You're here for 3, 2, and 1 45-second break. So by this point, we should really be feeling like we need this rest break. I want you to move around here. Again, start visualizing your next set. Observe the differences between sides. Some of you that are a little more new to single racked squatting might notice that you feel this more in your abs, in your core, in your obliques than maybe you do in the actual squat. So this with one weight isn't the heaviest squat of your life, or it probably shouldn't be, but we're a little off balance here. You're having to correct and not rotate on your opposite side, same as the swings. So you might feel this today in your core a lot. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. So we're gonna rack the bell. Think of in your squat position, almost lifting your toes, then putting them down, and think of your weight coming forward into the front parts of your feet. You don't need to drill your feet into the floor, but try to think of putting your weight there so you can maintain a vertical position. When we go into our swings, we're not vertical with the chest, we're sending our hips back, but we're still thinking of distributing our weight back into our heels when we're in the backswing position, and then a little more forward into our feet when we're in the top of the swing position. Start thinking of your plank here in your swings. I want you to start imagining the top of your squat feeling like a tight plank, the top of your swings feeling like a tight plank for the next 15 seconds. Breathe in, breathe out. If you need to take a break here, you can set your bell down a little bit earlier. Remember, these are recommended intervals. Going to the finish is a little more challenging that we've done in the beginning parts of this series. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. Round 3 of your presses coming up. If you want to set the bell down in between your reps through the dead stop clean, let's say you feel a little more comfortable than that hand-to-hand switch, go for it. Also, if that hand-to-hand switch and this breaking up the rep set is tripping you up a little bit, you can take those 6 reps in a row if you're able to, and able to do it with a pretty heavy weight. Try out the switching it up, but if that's not working for you, change it up to something that will, because that's the most important thing. We're gonna rest here for another 15 seconds, and then we're going to take our sets. One of the things I think you should explore, it's finding the foot position that works for you in your press. Some of you might be comfortable a little wider. Some of you really might get a good squeeze and feel tighter with your feet closer. You don't want to move your feet around a ton in your clean, so find the most narrow position or the best position that works for you so you feel tight in your press. You're here 3, 2, and 1. So example of this would be me hitting my 3 here, setting my bell down, stepping over to the side, cleaning it again, hitting my 3 here. So this could be a solution for those of you that really like a more narrow stance. You could even just move it over to the side like so. Get that clean and press. Something for everyone in our classes. One of the big things that I try to incorporate through the live videos or the full length videos like this is enough teaching so you start to feel really confident in picking the variation that works for you, even though you're not directly in the room with me working one-on-one. You're here for another 3, 2, and 1. If you're bleeding into the rest a little bit, go for it. It's totally fine to do that. We'll keep the rest going. You have your single racked reverse lunges on your first side, the side you started class with, and then we'll finish, obviously, with your opposite side. This would be a great chance right now, with 30 seconds left, to start thinking about your final set. Start visualizing your final set. Start sort of thinking about where you're bearing your weight in your lunges, how your rack position is feeling, and how your bell situation might be feeling. So next time you do this class, you can upgrade your sets. We're always trying to do a little bit heavier when we start to feel like things are becoming easy. So that's a good way to know if you're getting stronger or how to really predict your weights. Let's go ahead and hit your first side in 3, 2, and 1. Little trick really fast before I elaborate on that. You can hold here and then take a step back. If you're sort of working in between weights, like let's say the 12 kilo for this feels a little too easy for you, you don't have a 14 and you want to try moving up, hold on to the 16 a little bit. Take a little bit of that weight out and make it work for you. That being said, one of the hardest things I think there is to do in these classes is to upgrade your weights, to know when to change it up, when to push yourself a little more. 30 seconds left here, actually a little less than that. So A way to do this is when you start feeling like you can overhead press pretty easily for like 8 reps, it's probably a little bit too light for you. You're ready to move up to the next weight. If you're doing lower body movements and you're hitting upwards of 12 or more reps easily, you can probably go up. You're here for 3, 2, and rest. We have one more set to get through in our class today. So reverse Nordics for the last time are coming up in 45 seconds. I always think that if you're evaluating yourself based on the length of these programs, so that's why we have those benchmark tests on Bells Up Studio. It's just to give yourself time to check in, because a lot of times it's hard to remember to take those moments to push ourselves a little more. You don't need to be pushing a 1 rep max a lot. You don't need to be pushing to your absolute death max every session. We should feel like our load is waving a little bit. Let's get ready to go into your reverse Nordics and your final round in 3, 2, and 1. So not every session you do should feel the same, and you shouldn't always need to be pushing to failure. So giving yourself those little moments to evaluate where you're at, to measure your strength a little bit, are going to help you realize, am I getting stronger? Because there isn't really a test you can take to measure how strong you are other than you lifting. So getting stronger is something that will be, can you lift a little bit heavier? Has your technique improved? Do you feel more comfortable? Are you not feeling like it's as hard when you're lifting one weight versus the other? You're probably going to find more gains. Keep your push-ups at your normal tempo here. You're probably going to find more gains going for your benchmark setting every 3 to 6 months and testing out how you feel than worrying about it session to session or week to week. I know I kind of messed up with the push-ups with you guys for telling you your tempo, but we had that one tempo switch, and we're just gonna go with that for class today. Getting a little too on my soapbox today. We've got 3, 2, and 1, giving you guys all of the cues. So if you're in the second round of this, watching the video, and you want to change up your tempo for that final set a little bit more, you can take a 3 down and 3 up for it. I'm going to be better at my cueing for the push-ups in the future. I promise you guys. Okay. Rest is happening for 20 more seconds. This is your last round of your single rack squats and your swings. I really want you to push through these ones. And an option for you, if you absolutely are not loving this right now, goblet squats, 2-hand swings. Those are always there. You're just gonna have to repeat them the next round. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's go ahead and get ready to start. Clock is on for your swings and your squats in 3, 2, and 1. So I just switched my bell there, and I think if you have a nice weighty bell, you definitely can keep repeating and doing that same thing. You have just under 30 seconds left. It's actually now about 20. Time's clocking by. So get the most out of this set. Maybe you can get those 3 rounds this time if you've been feeling pretty comfortable with 2. Maybe this is the last round of this, so you push yourself just a little bit more. You're here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We have one more side to do. One more set of presses to do, your final set of lunges to finish. Last chance coming up to get into your swings and your squats. I'm actually kind of jealous of you guys right now because I want to do the squats and swings with you so badly, but I know that I need to take a break from it. Swings are actually fine, but it's just that flexion, the squat movement that is not feeling the best. So I'm gonna take the squats and eliminate them for this set and do swings with you for the final one. So we will have 15 seconds here until you go into your final set of your swings and your squats. I want full glute contraction here. I want you to pull your quads up, line your breath, get everything firing for this last set. Your best reps yet. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. So you're going to clean hit your squats, pull yourself down. Notice the difference between your body position when you're squatting versus doing the explosive hinge that you have required of you in your swing. If you notice in your swings that you're someone that your feet kind of roll side to side, we talked about the weight shifting forward and back, but if you kind of move this way, a good way to work on pushing your foot down fully is to take a little band, like a band that you'd wrap around your knees, and place it under the instep of the sole of your foot and try to crush that as you're swinging. This is going to help you with alignment in your knees, keeping everything together. You have 15 seconds in this set and you are done with the swings and the squats for today. We'll go into our presses next. You're here for another 5, 4, 3, 2, bell comes down, take your break. So that cue really works well if you feel like you're someone that doesn't have control here. You kind of move side to side. And this is where we can get a little problematic with loading in our joints and places we don't really want to load. So we've got to be really aware where we're bearing the weight, especially if you're someone that overpronates a little bit or over supinates a little bit, rolling to the outside. So just keep that in mind. You might actually observe that if you're a runner or somebody that's familiar with your foot position or those feelings. So if you're someone that does either of those things, that could be a great thing that you incorporate into your swings or even your squats. Okay, let's keep resting here. We're gonna go about another 15 seconds and then take our final set of 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1 in our presses, one more set of lunges to finish your session today. I hope you guys are enjoying these little broken up sets. I've got a lot of great feedback on this program, so we'll kind of keep this theme going later in programs too if you guys are loving it. So always give me feedback in the comments. I love to hear it. Let's go 3, 2, and 1. And if you've never left a comment before and you've made it to this point in class, this could be the time just to say hello. Maybe you just drop in, give me a shout, let me know that you're there. I also encourage you guys, if you have questions, you can always send them to me on social media, leave me a comment, we can correspond. There is the hello@bellsup email account that you can always email and ask questions there too if you have them about form or anything that's going on with you in classes or in the programs. I was answering some questions the other day about how to incorporate the snatch program that's on the app and the pull-up program into your normal sets. Guys, about 15 seconds, we're gonna take that rest. And if you have questions like that, those things are totally possible. We try to do our best to put explanations in the programs of how to combine, but come right to the source. You guys can always ask me that. Okay, rest here, last 45 seconds of rest, and we're gonna go into our final set of our lunges, making sure that you're really moving through the entire interval if you can. Those of you that are using 2 bells and you might want to give up on this one, I want you to try to stay with your double rack for the entirety of this set. See if you can challenge yourself. See if you can challenge your breath. See if you can challenge your core strength by holding those bells up for the entire 45-second interval. Remember, we're going to try to stay loose. We're going to try to stay active. We're going to let the sun shine down on us here for our final set. Okay, 10 seconds here. We're going to take those lunges. You are body weight with me. You are single racked like the program. You are double racked for advance. Let's go for it. 3, 2, and 1. Remember, whoops, I'm here. Watch out that there's nothing behind you. I just like almost unalived myself on my squat wedges there. So as you're doing your sets, watch for pets, watch for kids, watch for random stuff that you aren't sure about. One of the best rules I learned when I started getting certified for kettlebell training was that you always want to stay as clean and orderly as possible with your weights. This goes for you in a general gym situation too. Always put your weights back. Move your weights to the side when you're done. Make sure that you are aware of your surroundings because a lot of times gym accidents happen when we're not paying attention to those little details. I want you guys to give me 10 more strong seconds here. Big steps back, push through that foot. Try to really feel your glute in this one as you push. You're here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and bells come down. You guys are done. I can feel the lunging and squatting from afar. I wish I was doing with you guys in this class, but like I said, taking a little break for that. And it's important to know sometimes you need to do that no matter how much you train, how little you train, it just depends. So don't get down on yourself if you have an injury or you have something going on. It just takes time. And I'm learning that patience over and over again myself, but I will be back to deadlifting with you guys and pulling in our next session together. So I will see you guys very soon for that or in another Bells Up Studio class. Remember to get real, get strong, and get your bells up. I will see you guys very soon. Bye.